Hello everybody, this is Cholera. I am the host of SC2GG Commentator Idol, and I am bringing you here with three judges the second episode of the Idol. This second episode will have the first assignment that all the 6 contestants have done. We'll be watching clips from them, and we'll be hearing from the judges about how they thought they did. And finally, then, we will go to the viewer votes and the judge votes, and we will find out, unfortunately, which of these 6 great contestants has to leave us this week, and which of the 5 will be moving on to this next week of the show. First off, I would like to introduce our guest judge for this week. This is Diggity. Diggity has been a commentator for over a year and a half. He is one of the inspirations for many of us to start commentating. Diggity, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit?
Wow, that's just about it. Hey guys, I've been commentating for a while, just over 6,000 subscribers. Got started right after Klazar dropped off the map, and I guess you could call me one of the big commentators there, alongside these guys here, Cholera, Rise, Moltrap, of course, Klazar when he's around. So anyway, hopefully you guys know who I am. If not, please check me out, Diggity SC on YouTube.
All right, thanks. And Diggity will be our third judge, and he will be providing his opinions for this week's. Now, let's get started with the show immediately. I know what you guys are here for, and that is to review these contestants and to hear our opinions and see some clips. So we're going to be starting with Smiley. Every week the order will be different. This week we have Mr. Smiley going up first. He did a commentary of Up Magic versus Jaedong in the Winners League. And I guess I'll start first with Diggity. What did you think of this commentator in general, and what clip would you like to introduce to us for us to watch?
Smiley's strength is definitely his flow. He has very good flow in this match. Unfortunately, I don't think he was very good about visualizing what the players actually see and their reactions and counter reactions. I thought this was a lot more of an interesting game. There was more going on than he actually mentioned, essentially, and as a result, I felt the commentary was overall lackluster as to what was actually happening on screen. We're going to go over the clip 120, well, minute timestamp here, 125 to 155, where he's talking about basically the map overall and some of Jaedong's strategies, perhaps, going into the late game, or I guess mid-game at this stage.
Which is just ridiculously an unforgivably Zerg-favored map. Now you may say, but it's got bridges, and Terrans have tanks, and they siege on bridges, and yes, okay, well, the bridges are small, and they don't seem to do a whole lot when it comes to this map. Also noted, there are 2 different entrances to the natural expansion, as well as a temple blocking a second entrance to the main. So there's plenty of ways that Zerg can get in and harass if they do get past the Mutalisk mode.
Peanut, what did you think of Smiley overall, and what clip do you have for us today?
I liked this commentary of Smiley's. I thought he was humble yet confident in his announcing and explanation of the strategies, especially at the beginning when he introduced the game. And I thought he had good color overall. There were some interesting parts about the players' thoughts, and other things that were that weren't exactly play-by-play or like player statistics, but were relevant and I thought added to the experience of watching the game. So the clip that I chose was 650 to 718, where Smiley gives us a little bit of color about spider mines versus Mutalisks, which I thought was really cute. So.
You need some turrets, those mines aren't going to defend against Mutalisks. No, mines cannot take flight, although that would kind of be awesome. But no, especially not up Magic's mines. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe Flash's mines could take to the air and take out some Mutalisks. That would be pretty awesome.
All right, Rise, what did you think about Smiley overall, and what clip do you have for us today?
Well, Smiley, I thought you were actually pretty good with the color, but I felt like you were severely lacking on the technical knowledge behind the game. I mean, there were a lot of portions in the game where you were just giving us misinformation, and unfortunately for our viewers, some of our viewers don't know it's misinformation, and the problem is they start telling their friends start telling their friends. We have a cascading effect because you are the authority in this. So I got a couple of clips where I wanted to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Cholera, you want to line them up for us?
Jaedong, oh no, oh god. And then Jaedong's just like, whatever, dude. I'm gonna fast expand right now and go for the 9 hatch. What are you gonna do about it? Try to break through to the top expansion there, putting 1 Marine on the temple. I don't know if those temples are stacked or not. I don't believe they are, like on Medusa, so, you know, where there's like 10 on top of each other. So that would kind of be horrible to have to break through 10 different temples just to get your expansion. I don't believe that's the case here. Alright, so
Alright, Rise, what can you say about these 2 clips? Why did you choose them?
Well, these 2 clips are interesting because first you talk about a 9 hatch that Jaedong is going, and I gotta say, man, when is the last time we saw a pro gamer go 9 hatch? I can't remember one instance that I remember seeing that in a pro game. The second one is the map details. You had some parts that were actually pretty good, pretty on, but then you're saying things like the neutral temple is actually an entrance to the main base. You know, there's minerals behind that, right? You can't actually go in there unless you mine out the entire mineral field, which might take a half hour to do. So yeah, maybe one day it'll be an entrance, but not likely anytime soon. Also, Medusa's the map with the stacked temples. Neo Harmony does not have stacked temples, so make sure you check out the map before you start giving information about it.
And with that, we'll be going into some crosstalk between the judges. They're going to talk about what they thought about the commentator overall, and then they're going to give some recommendations about what they can do better. We'll have this for every contestant, and we'll begin right now for Smiley.
I really thought the key to this game was specifically between 6 minutes and 6:25 and 7:13 and 7:20. Essentially, up magic goes, he scouts the base, he sees Hydralisks, he thinks that Jaedong is going to go for a Hydralisk breaker, he's just going to mass Hydralisks off 3 bases, and then later in the game he comsats, he sees the Spire up, but he knows it's too late, he tries to get the Engineering Bay down, and I think that was essentially the story of this game, and I felt like Mr. Smiley completely missed that, and that was just so key. I think if you're going to improve your commentary in the future, you really need to take into account what each player is seeing. Up Magic was going, okay, I can just keep these vultures out and these mines and I'll be fine against any sort of Hydralisk push that Jaedong's going to attempt. Maybe he's going to go speed 1, but then he'll have tanks out, which is why you even saw a tank out in the field a little bit later. But then, yeah, switch tech from Jaedong, very classic on his part, and Up Magic just got worked from that stage.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, man. I thought that he had just a lot of misinformation across a good portion of the game, and really, all he's got to do is he's got to brush up on his game knowledge, build order knowledge. You know, just keep watching other commentators' games, and he should be pretty set. He's just got to remember that when he's talking, to make sure that he's talking about what's actually happening, and hopefully he can do that from now on.
Yeah, it's one thing to need to brush up on your game details and to do your homework and all of that. I think his color is great, and he has some problems with flow. There were some moments when he didn't seem like he had a lot to say, where I think it would be good if he sort of went back to the big picture of what's going on, maybe the macro of the 2 players, or even the context of the match or something like that. But he is really fun to listen to. And I really like his attitude, and I like the little things he throws in. So yeah, I think if he works on the technical details and maybe the flow a little bit, he'll be great.
All right, and we'll be moving on now to the final part of each contestant's, I guess, review here, and we'll start with Peanut. Can you say one recommendation that you would make to Smiley?
Yeah, I would say, in those spaces when you sort of run out of things to say, just pull back and talk about the big picture a little bit more.
Generally, despite what Rice said, I don't think that technical knowledge really affects the entertainment of a commentary in most cases, and I don't think it's as big an issue. I don't think you have to be a B- C+ player to make an entertaining commentary. However, when you have errors in technical knowledge that are really critical to the game, I've made plenty of them, so I'm guilty as well, but that really do affect the core entertainment of an actual commentary, then yeah, that's when I do say, well, that's to a degree an issue, and I think that was the case in this game. What I would say is to improve, keep in mind that what you see on screen is not what the individual players see on screen. Try to keep in mind what each individual player can actually see. Keep in mind they have that fog of war, and I find when you stop and visualize that, you find a lot more things to talk about. Like, these vultures are just going to be approaching these Hydralisks and seeing them right here. Try to give the listeners perspective on not just the mind, but at the actual visuals of Magic and Jaedong, essentially, through the game, why they're reacting, and that also helps as far as later game predictions, is how they're going to react and things like that.
Rather than recap everything that Diggity said, I'm just going to say ditto to that.
All right, and we'll be moving on to our next commentator. Kenny did a Winners League game between Lita versus Zero. Lita went 2-port rates this game, and it was a very exciting conclusion when Lita destroyed Zero. In fact, all the contestants did games from the Winners League in the last 2 weeks. Well, let's begin with Diggity. Diggity, what did you think of Kenny overall, and what clip do you have for us from his video?
So we have a little clip here of Kenny doing some color commentary, and I have to say Kenny's color overall was just fantastic throughout this entire game. He was really entertaining to watch and just listen to, actually. And I thought it was an exciting game. He did a fantastic job of keeping it balanced and entertaining. There's only really one portion I didn't like at the very beginning, where he was talking about Boxer rather than Lomo as far as 2-port Wraith, and he did kind of indicate that this wasn't a fresh commentary, and I always favor that. But overall, yeah, he did a great job.
I mean, that makes for entertaining, games for all of us, so I'm pretty sure no one's complaining about the upsets, unless, of course, your player got beat, then you go home and you eat chocolate and sit with your girlfriend and watch Gossip Girls or something, but not like I've done that or anything. I'm just saying, probably you guys might have done that or something.
Okay, Peanut, what did you think of Kenny overall, and what clip do you have for us from his videos?
Kenny is good overall. I actually have to disagree with Diggity. I didn't really like Kenny's color. He made some very good attempts, but I feel like with most of them, he stopped just short of having something sort of original and entertaining to add to the commentary. So the clip that I chose is a part of the commentary where I felt he needed better flow, and he also sort of came close but didn't quite make it with his little bit of color.
So Lita's going to want to try to hold that ramp if he can, not let anything get up in his base, and really just keep what's going on secret in there. I mean, this is Area 52 in Lita's base, and that drone right there is like an adventurer who wants to find out what's going on, and he's just not going to find out.
Rise, what did you think about Kenny, and what clips do you have for us?
Well, I think that Peanut is still a little hung up on the whole hooker issue, but I gotta say, Kenny, maybe you should just invite her to your next hooker party, and she can see the benefits of a hooker party. Now, the actual color that you were doing in your commentary, I thought was really good. I thought that, in particular, you're talking about rays and how delicate they are, and I can really, really relate to that, because they really are, and it pisses me off when they are getting hit by spores or muta or whatever. So, great play-by-play in the next clip, as well as color at the end of it to really tie it all together for me.
Again, like I said before, this is actually a very strong build. If you master this build and you know how to use your Wraiths and work around the Zerg space, it can just be such a powerful build, especially against the 12 hatchery expansion build, because like you see, it's putting Zero so far behind. He's having to make spore colonies, which is just wasting money. He's producing more and more Wraiths, so he gets to kill things faster and faster, especially those drones. Once you get up to a specific amount of Wraiths, you can just one-shot drones, and that's huge. And as you can see, he's going for the Spire. He might take down the Spire here. No, he's going to just go ahead and micro against these Hydralisks, which is smart. The thing about Wraiths is they're very delicate, as you all know. These things are like porcelain, man. These are like little Chinese porcelain dolls flying around in the air. They do.
I object to what Rise just said. I am not hung up over the hooker issue. I actually didn't like most of Kenny's color. The one part that I did like was the Wraiths being delicate and the porcelain part. The other stuff I just felt was a good try, but just got too cliche. I mean, the whole Area 52 thing. The drone is an adventurer. Like you could get much better than that. And I thought the comparisons to Boxer were kind of cliche too. Don't get me wrong, Kenny's very good, but I think to be sort of the winner of Commentator Idol, that you have to go a little bit the extra mile.
I have to agree. The beginning Boxer comment and also the adventurer out in the wasteland, I guess, didn't really do it for me. But I have to say, yeah, going to your girlfriend's house and crying and eating chocolate, watching Gossip Girls. I don't do that, actually. No, I have no. Yes.
I do watch Gossip Girls every night at 8, and I'm proud of it. No, actually, I don't even know what that show is. But I do agree with what they said about the boxer-esque issues. I didn't really agree with that part. I thought your intro was actually generally confusing, but after that, you really you found your pace, in my opinion, anyway. And you ended off strong.
All right, we're gonna go from Peanut to Rise and Diggity about final recommendations. Peanut, you're up.
Yes, final recommendation, work on the color. Try to come up with stuff that's more original. Maybe listen to some class art commentaries just to get an idea of that. And work on your flow. There are times when it seems like you're struggling to find what you want to say, and just work on getting that out faster. Otherwise, great job.
Kenny, I thought that you actually had some of the best color coming from the only colorblind contestant, at least that we know of. So continue with that. But
That's
I gotta
right.
say, when you start things off, maybe it's better for you not to watch a game before you commentate it. I, for one, never watch a game before I commentate it, and I always find that it flows a lot better. The color is a lot more original, and things just come together in a much nicer way. So I recommend just trying that next time and see if that works for you.
Yeah, I have to agree with Rise 100%. If you do the commentary through the first time, your first viewing, everything comes out more organic, unless you just completely screw up. I've restarted, but usually I'll tell the viewers, hey, I've seen this before, and frame it. That obviously you did frame it with the initial comment, which I do appreciate. Color blindness, that's bonus points in my book. This is a hard game to commentate for when you're colorblind. So hardcore, man. But yeah, otherwise I actually enjoyed it. I thought the color was pretty good overall, and otherwise I would just say, yeah, aim for more of an organic commentating experience, watching it the first time through and doing the commentary. And I recommend that actually for all the commentators.
All right, next we move on to Park X, another great commentator in our contestants. He did a game between Boxer and Anytime in the Winners League. This was, in fact, the first game Boxer has played since leaving the Air Force. And Diggity, what did you think of Park X's work overall, and what clip do you have from his videos?
Park X was just fantastic, just top to bottom, everything. He was really exciting through the entire commentary. He had really informative little bits and tidbits of information here and there, and I like his voice as well. He seems like I feel like if Deus and Rise had a kid, this would be Park X right here. So he's very pleasant to listen to, and he's got that accent, which is always a bonus.
Creepy.
But yeah, I know. But the clip that I'm going to show right here is him talking about the secret training of Boxer in the bunker, and I definitely enjoyed this opening section.
Boxer, during these 2 months, has gone through an intensive, super maniacal, crazy secret training inside of the SK2 bunker, and I am definitely looking forward to the fruit of that training in this game here. His opponent today is going to be the God of Death Anytime himself here, the God of Death Anytime. Anytime, a very dominant Protoss player in the past. I believe in 2005 he has won 2 OSL titles, so definitely 2 titles facing each other off for our entertainment here. This is almost like Mike Tyson versus Muhammad Ali, past their prime, of course. So, still very exciting, although.
Peanut, what clip do you have, and what did you think of Park X overall?
I agree with Diggity. Park X was great. His color is wonderful, and his sense of drama is just very well timed, and his voice is very expressive. I think I'm kind of getting used to the accent. It still throws me a little bit sometimes, but he more than makes up for it with his ability to build up excitement and suspense, and with the fun little descriptions that he goes into and he sort of runs with, like Diggity noted. So the clip that I have is Park X setting up setting up the scene between Boxer and Anytime, and their sort of drop and counter drop, and it's just great the way that he introduces the drama and says that this is the climax of the game.
In position to intercept those vultures. This vulture harass is going to be a total fail here from Boxer. Not looking good for my favorite player of all time right now, and yeah, definitely not looking good. And those vultures do not even have spider mines, and definitely an error from Boxer here to send in spider mine-less vultures here. And now Boxer has a rate out to presumably chase that shuttle around. He does know that that shuttle was headed that way, but looks like.
Rise, what did you think of ParkX overall, and what do you have for us?
I gotta say, man, I really thought that ParkX had some of the strongest technical information in his commentary out of any of the contestants, and I thought he did a great job at highlighting the important parts of that. My clips are actually of him hacking up something nasty all over his microphone, which, God, man, I don't want to ever see a microphone because it's got to be one of the nastiest things. But then, after hacking that up, he manages to morph into Klazard at some point, and all of a sudden we see some really fast-paced action coming out of him, and really he was catching everything of importance. So I ended up being very impressed by him.
Anytime now pushing into the Dragoons. Sorry about that. So yeah, anytime using those zealots to distract the tank while he pushes in with the Dragoons. Very brilliant strategy from anytime. Now Boxers, it looks like he is in fuel trouble. He's lost a lot of tanks. He lost all of the front tanks to anytime zealot bombs, and now the Dragoons are within the natural expansion. Boxers losing a lot of SCVs in the natural expansion, and a lot of zealots are incoming to reinforce. And Boxer has absolutely nothing to defend against those zealots except one tank. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a game for Boxer right now. Boxer now with there's some vultures coming out, but this is not going to matter here. Anytime is already all over Boxer's base.
It's interesting that you mentioned the comparison to Klazard Rise, because I actually do think, and I think ParkX did actually talk about this in the commentary, that he is very much of the Klazard mold. Both because of he goes into things at very high speed, and he brings in these interesting bits of color, and also he has kind of an interesting accent, which is probably just coincidence. But I approve. I think he still has a little ways to go, but I think he's doing a great job. He's a very stylish commentator.
Yeah, I agree with you, and
definitely
I think that the one thing he's missing is a little bit of the color that you might find from a commentator like Klazard. I think that if he can work on that a little bit more, he'll really be up there in the ranks. But until he gets there, he's just a very good technical commentator in my mind.
I thought this commentary was almost perfect. He had excitement through the entirety of it. Instead of comparing him to Klazard, I almost want to compare him to Deus. He's just got a lot of excitement through the entire thing, a lot of energy, and that really kept me hooked on this commentary all the way through. I was very entertained, just from minute 0 to the end. It was just great.
All right, and we'll begin with our recommendations with Diggity. What do you have? If you had one recommendation, what would you make to ParkX?
To keep going, actually, at this stage, I really don't have any general recommendations. You got all the technical information, I think, down pat. You had really good flow. I think you added little bits and pieces of color here when it was appropriate. Maybe you could throw a little bit more color in here, but that's I don't throw in as much color, so that's just up to style, I think. But yeah, I would say just do more games, because you'll get better as you keep going.
Yes, I would agree. Do more games. Keep working. Your strong point is definitely your sort of sportscastery way of building up excitement and suspense and saying to the viewers, this is where you should be watching, this is why this is significant. I guess if we're to keep the Klazard comparison going, yeah, you might want to bring in sort of the more colorful descriptions, but really, yeah, I think you need more practice, but you're doing very well right now. You're definitely on the right track.
Just one comment, and that's if you do add more color, just make sure that you remember that your strength is really your technical knowledge, and make sure that whatever you do try to change about your commentary, you keep that technical core there. As long as you do that, I think you'd be in good shape.
And coming up next, we have Hazel. Hazel decided to do high up versus up magic from the Winners League once again. This is a Terran versus Terran game, which up magic managed to win with a fast 2-fact attack. We'll start here with Peanut. What did you think of Hazel's work overall, and what clip do you have from her first video?
Hazel overall is a very good, consistent commentator, and she has an excellent command of English. She has some beautiful turns of phrases, brings in good color. She could definitely work on her flow, and she could definitely work on making things a little bit more exciting during sort of the crucial parts. But I think her explanations of in certain moments in particular are very good. So the clip that I have is where she explains what the Winners League actually is, which was fairly informative to me because I picked up a little bit about the structure of the Winners League from watching commentaries, but she had sort of the real coherent explanation, which was very helpful.
But actually, I was lying. There's a fourth new thing about 2009 that's really exciting me, and that is that the Shinhan Pro League is entering round 3, and round 3 is something really exciting, really different actually. Round 3 is Winners League, and it's kind of in a Clan Wars format where the first person goes up and doesn't come down until he's beaten, and then the other teams just keep throwing players at each other.
Diggity, what did you think about Hazel overall, and what do you have for us to watch right now?
In this particular commentary, we're going to come up on a clip, and I felt like Hazel did not emphasize a very key moment here, specifically this Vulture Scout sneaking through, the fact that Haya saw that tank and then saw the factory without the machine shop, and then also had that barrack float overhead and basically see the two factories inside of UpMagic's base. That was a key turning point. UpMagic would obviously prefer to keep that hidden longer into the game because he was in fact going for a two-factory push. And you can even see the look on his face right at the end of that clip where he's just a little bit disappointed. He's like, crap, I wish I had more time. I wish he hadn't lifted it up and scouted me first. Or gotten that barrack up there and in that position so fast. Just having that barrack in that forward position initially, it played a big factor because that scout going in a little bit sooner than it would have otherwise. But still, UpMagic taking the game amazingly, even though Haya spotted this and had time to anticipate. And I felt like there was a lot more excitement that she didn't emphasize.
And he'll probably just pick off that Marine standing guard, that poor Marine standing guard at the front of UpMagic's base. But UpMagic does have two factors. He has a Vulture. That Vulture of Haya's is gonna go down. It's going into a tank, and it goes down. That barracks will continue to scout for Haya, and Haya is probably extremely worried now. He sees.
All right, Rise, what do you have for us, and what did you think about her commentary in general?
Well, I thought that her commentary in general was pretty good. She has good technical knowledge, she has decent flow, and she's got pretty good color. I would actually have to say that I think that the one thing that she needs to kind of work on a bit is the flow, but either way, I had a clip where I just wanted to show where she did a good job of play-by-play overall. And she goes on to talk about the players having their mouths open and their style of play. And I got to say, Stork is the biggest offender. So, but definitely something that I've noticed, and I'm sure a lot of other players and viewers have noticed. So something that everybody could relate to. I thought that was pretty cool.
Tanks, but his tanks are not sieged. I don't know if he even has siege, but if that tank goes down by Haya, and it goes down, and it might be so dangerous that 2 mines take down the Goliath. That was a brilliant mine, and Haya is in so much trouble. Haya has this propensity to play with his mouth open. It's kind of interesting. I believe he's just, I don't know, maybe it helps him concentrate just like it helps Gogo. I think Gogo is also a player who plays with his mouth open.
I agree with you, Rise, about the being able to relate to the whole mouth open thing when she had that discussion of that. I do think, though, that part was a weaker part of the commentary for me, especially when she transitioned into going back to play-by-play. It was a little bit awkward. She was talking about, he's got his mouth open and then sort of pause. Oh, and so here's the game again. So I do think she has to work on her flow, especially her transitions. But yeah, her vocabulary is wonderful. Her command of English is wonderful. So those are very strong points for me.
Yeah, I think she's just got to kind of connect a lot of those words together a little better, because I just feel while she has a great vocabulary, her overall speech can be disjointed at times. And I agree with you. As long as she can get that to work together, she'll be at the top of the line for sure.
I have to agree with Rise to a degree. It felt like she was giving a speech at a large convention rather than doing a commentary. It just felt very stiff and not very organic. And maybe that's just because the environment she was in when she was doing the commentary. I know she was doing it from the lab. But I think it's better when you try to relate kind of on a ground level, when you're just talking to people, hanging out with them sort of thing, rather than, and then he it doesn't need to be quite so stiff. Or I guess she's not making it grand like I was, so that's not a great example. But yeah, you guys get what I'm saying.
All right, and Diggity, one recommendation you would have for her?
Yeah, just loosen up a bit. Be a little bit more pally, I guess is the word for it. Be a little bit more down to earth. don't be quite so. It feels like you're stepping back from the commentary and being kind of like an authoritative voice sort of thing, and again making a speech. And I think it's a much better commentary when you can kind of relax and sit back and just kind of enjoy the game yourself as you're commentating it.
I agree with Diggity. I would say your intro is great, your recaps are wonderful, and your sign-offs are pretty solid. But in between, there needs to be a little bit more variety in your color and in your voice and your flow. Some more excitement during epic clashes would be great. But definitely keep the turns of phrase, saying that the barracks was like a giant glorified fat scout. That made me laugh. It was very entertaining.
And in the immortal words of the BC Boys, let it flow like a mudslide, 'cause when I get on, I like to ride and glide. I got depth up it. Yeah, you get the point.
Great recommendation. All right, next up we have Morph 1081, and Morph did Lita versus Gwemchi. This was a very, very epic Terran versus Protoss game where Lita pretty much used drops, vultures, and all sorts of harassment to befuddle and outplay Gwemchi. Although Gwemchi actually played pretty well during most of the game, he was just completely overtaken by Lita's harassment. In any case, we'll begin with Diggity. What did you think of Lita overall, and what do you have for us? I'm sorry, with Morph overall, what do you have for us?
Morph overall, yeah. I have to say, Morph had some of the. Well, first of all, he has the unfair accent advantage, and that always plays favorably. And I expect him to get pretty high in the votes, just in general. Klazard, of course, is the most famous for that. It's just gotta love the accent. And I guess that's an American thing, but whatever. Maybe it's a foreign thing. I digress. Anyway, Morph had really good color throughout the entirety of this, and he had a lot of charisma, and I think that carried throughout the entirety of the game. And in fact, I'm going to show you guys a clip right here, and I just love the turn of phrase, super funsies.
Leacher, on the other hand, he's in the position to begin the slow push, and the slow push is so hard to break. You know, if she does get a nice ball of maybe some, I wouldn't say Archons, obviously a couple of Archons are always nice just because they're super funsies. And now Lita going down for a drop, actually coming round the side.
Peanut, what did you think? And what clip do you have for us?
While I agree that one of Morph's strengths is his color, on the other hand, there were times during this commentary where I felt a little bit seasick. I felt like he was going back and forth way too much between sort of either talking about the map or talking about a player statistics or something like that, and then going into the play-by-play, and he would just go back and forth, and it left me a little bit reeling. So this clip in particular, I thought there was too much back and forth between Lita's stats and the play-by-play, and it turned me off a little bit. It sort of made me lose track of what was going on.
So anyway, finally talking about Lita's first 10 games. Of those first 10 games against Protoss, he only won 2 of them, which is probably why he has such a bad versus Protoss percentage, because just after that, dropship goes down, Vulture left alone in the base, and after that he had a win against Cal, and then right after that he had a win against Bisu. And since that win against Bisu, he's played 17 versus Protoss, and he's only lost 4 of them. And so, you know, and it looks like this third expansion might actually go down. It looks like it might actually go down.
Rise, what did you think? And what do you have for us?